live stream today with CareerFairy. I think the room's filling up. Could people maybe put in the chat a comment or react just to let us know we're speaking not into a void? Hello, everyone.
Hi, hello.
Can people? Hi, everyone. Can you hear and see? Ah, yes, I see lots of reacts coming in. Great. We've got Patrick, Joanna, Paula, Nikiforos, Ivo. Hi, welcome everyone. It's great. We're expecting quite a lot of people today, so I'll try not to read everyone's name, but I think yes, this is great. Everyone's coming through. And can I just check? Can everyone see me as well on the stream and hear me? Great, excellent. Yeah, it seemed like there was a few technical problems. So I'll great, thanks, Michael, for letting me know. So as we're now 2 minutes past, I think there'll be more people joining, and hopefully even on our side there'll be an extra person to support too. It's saying my camera is frozen. I'm going to try and fix that right now. 1 second. Let me see if I can switch. Any luck now? Can people? No. Okay, I think that there's an issue with the camera. Can you all hear me though, at least for the moment, while we're trying to figure out the? Okay, so while I try and figure out the camera issue, I just want to welcome you all to the stream today. We're going to be talking about the ESA Graduate Trainee Programme, which is indeed you might have known from previous years as the Young Graduate Trainee Programme. It's basically exactly the same, but we have hopefully you can see me. I think it's working. Super cool. Hi everyone. Yes, so the ESA Graduate Trainee Programme, it's same as the Young Graduate Trainee Programme, but we've had a rebrand of the program, so it's still, for those who have applied in the past or tuned in to these kind of streams in the past, we're here to talk about the various programs. We have Nicole here, and hopefully Philip will be joining shortly too. Just trying to get in with some of the technical problems. But before we jump into a very quick presentation on the slides, hopefully I can ask Nicole just for a very quick introduction of what she's doing at ESA.
Yes, can you hear me?
Hi, Nicole. Maybe, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Rosi. Well, I hope you see me and hear me well. I'm a ESA Graduate Trainee, former Young Graduate Trainee. And I am currently working in the section for software and artificial intelligence in the Directorate of Human and Robotic Exploration. I am Italian, and I am currently living in Germany, in EAC, which is the European Astronaut Center, based in Cologne. So here is where basically the astronauts get their training. So we have a lot of equipment, a lot of mock-up of the ISS and the Columbus model. It is really a very interesting place. And my job, my day-to-day job, focus on artificial intelligence and quantum computer. So my section is really involved in understanding how this new technology can fit the space panorama and enrich also the European exploration strategy and future missions.
Great, thanks for that, Nicole. I'll quickly introduce myself as well. My name's Andrew Kane. I'm the entry-level program coordinator at ESA. So I'm responsible, amongst other programs, for the EGT program. I myself was, well, formerly a young graduate trainee, but now it's called ESA Graduate Trainee. I did 2 years working in headquarters in Paris, working on the policy side. And then after that, I've moved to my position as the entry-level program coordinator here at ESTEC in the Netherlands, where I'm working in HR. So I'm going to try and jump into a presentation. I will try and refresh this 1 second.
Okay, so we are having some technical issue while Andrew tries to solve them. I think I will start to go through some Q&A. So let's see. I will read the question and then I will highlight it and I will answer. Oh, okay.
Hopefully we're doing better now.
Okay, so maybe
Okay,
it's not
great.
needed. Perfect.
Yeah, hopefully it's good now. So apologies for the technical issues, everyone. I'm going to try and jump now into a quick slide overview of the program before we jump into your questions and answers. I know some of you've already put questions in advance to us in the Q&A tab, but also feel free to put them in the chat as well, and we'll try our best to answer them. So first, hopefully this one will work. Let's see. So I'm trying to share the slides. Okay, let me just go at the beginning. So yeah, thumbs up please, or claps if you can see me sharing the slides. Okay, that looks positive. Okay, so let me get the beginning. Okay, so I wanted to give a very quick overview for those of you who are not too familiar with ESA, but also a refresher for those of you who know a little bit of, or even quite a lot about what we do at the European Space Agency. So one of the newest updates I can say we have as of the 1st of January this year, we have 23 member states. We have a new member state, Slovenia, since the 1st of January, taking us up to 23. All the flags you see at the bottom are our member states, and we also have 3 associate members in Latvia, Lithuania, Slovakia, and even Canada as a cooperating state. For those of you who are joining also from Bulgaria, Cyprus, Croatia, and Malta, you're also eligible for the EGT program because these countries are cooperating states of ESA. But one of the things you may be able to see from the flags below, but also perhaps from my accent, I'm from the UK. You'll see the UK flag there, the Swiss flag, and the Norwegian flag. So just to confirm for those of you, we're not actually part of the European Union, or we do work very closely with the EU and with the European Commission, particularly on our navigation and Earth observation programs. But we are a separate entity. We were founded in 1975, and we have about almost 3,000 staff members now, but almost double that in terms of the workforce of colleagues from contracting companies, but also with our interns and various other visiting researchers that are working at the European Space Agency. What is the raison d'etre? Why does ESA exist? What's quite unique for us is that we are the only space agency in the world that's comprised of all these different member states that are using space exclusively for peaceful purposes. So it's for exploration of seeing what's out there beyond our planet here, but it's also about trying to use space to make life better for every citizen in Europe and beyond here on Earth. That's how I would sum it up. In terms of where we're located, our headquarters are based in Paris, but we have sites all across Europe and even the European Spaceport, which is down in French Guiana, just in South America. I'll show it in a second just so you can visualize where all the different sites are, but I can confirm we have opportunities, I think this time on 3 different continents for the EGT program. So yeah, we're bigger than just continental Europe in terms of our footprint. And how much does it cost per year? It's about, our budget is 7.8 billion euros per year, and that equates to about 15 euros per European per year, depending on the countries that you're checking in from. Sometimes that's the price of a cinema ticket or a small popcorn, depending on where you're coming in from. But relatively speaking, it's a really good value for money, I'd say. And then in terms of the next slide, so all of what we're doing is possible thanks to the collaboration of all of those states represented by the flags that you see below. What I would highlight is ESA is active across every area of the space sector, and you will see that when it comes to our EGT opportunities. They're really across every directorate, like I mentioned, across 3 different continents. We have positions available. And what's unique is it really is in every kind of topic you can imagine to do with space. We're very broad at ESA in terms of our expertise, although I would particularly highlight we are world leaders in our Earth observation and navigation directorates, particularly with our Copernicus and Galileo programs respectively. But in essence, when you come to ESA, you really do feel that we are world leader in science and technology. And it's with that leadership that an expertise that we've developed over 80 satellites. In particular, I want to highlight one, which I hope Nicole will be able to talk about, and Philip, if he's able to join. YPSat is one of the other satellites, which was developed by our young professionals, early career professionals at ESA. And these satellites have been launched over 200 times from the European Spaceport in Kourou. So you should be able to see now. Here we go. So in the bottom of the map on that side, you'll see the European Spaceport, which is nestled just above Brazil in French Guiana at the equator. This is where we work with the French Space Agency to launch a lot of the payloads that we develop in Europe, but also for our partners. But in terms of the other sites where you could be working as a ESA graduate trainee, I'd say the vast majority of our positions are going to be in STech, where I am today. It's the technical heart of the agency. It's where our technology directorate is as well. A lot of our engineering positions. This is where Nicole started out her EGT position before she then moved down to the EAC, which is my favorite of ESA establishments because it's where our astronauts are. It's the European Astronaut Center. So it's where we train our astronauts for missions, but also our partner astronauts, whether it's from NASA or JAXA, the Australian Space Agency. These astronauts will come to ESA for their training. Also in Germany, we have the Operations Center, which is in Darmstadt, just outside of Frankfurt in Germany. This is where we try and track and control all the European spacecraft and make sure it stays up in space doing what it's intended to do. Really cool site too. I'd also highlight Esren, which is just outside of Rome in a place called Frascati. This is really our Earth observation and IT center of excellence. One of my favorite establishments, if only for the canteen. Really nice food and pizza. It's stereotypical, but it's very true. So if you are lucky enough to be selected for a position in Esren, make sure to take advantage of that. And also the coffee is by far the best we have, in my opinion, at all the different sites. I also think the site in ESAC, what we call ESAC, which is just outside of Madrid, is a really cool one as well. This is really our astronomy center. It's where a lot of our cool science operations are happening, vis-a-vis astronomy and planetary missions. Relatively small, but it has a really nice, interesting culture and flavor there. And I think one of the things I always like when I go there is that you even see the ruins of a small castle on site, which is really cool. And EXAT, where I'm from in the UK, this is just outside of Oxford. This is really where a lot of our hub on commercialization and telecommunications activity is. It's a really nice, small but growing establishment. We have one of our smaller ones, which is ESEC, just in Belgium, close to the Luxembourg border. This is where our education hub is, and there's positions in the EGT campaign this year that are based there, but also some cybersecurity competences as well. And then very finally, our headquarters in Paris. This is really the political business heart of the agency, I would say, but we have several opportunities that are based there across different areas. So just as a very quick overview, we're going to be talking about the ESA Graduate Trainee Programme today, but I will very briefly touch upon some of the other ones that are in my remit. For those of you who are still students, you can apply for the ESA internship program. This is open every November, and it's a really nice way to make your EGT application look stronger, even if it's not necessary to be selected. Our latest program, which will hopefully be announced very soon officially, is called the National Graduate Trainee Programme. It's essentially exactly the same as the ESA Graduate Trainee Programme, but it's open to nationals and citizens of specific countries that are participating in this scheme in addition. In the past, we've had Poland, Luxembourg, Belgium, Lithuania, and Estonia. I'd like to think that these countries will be participating soon, but keep your eyes open for that, because it's another opportunity to have a 1 to 2 year graduate experience at ESA. For those of you who are doing or thinking of doing a PhD, we have the Research Fellowship Program, which functions a bit like a postdoc, and that's for 2 to 3 years working at ESA. And then a little bit linked to that, if you're looking for co-funding for your PhD, you can look at ESA co-funded research. I put it in red because it's not under my remit as an entry-level program, but it is really linked to the research activities we're doing at ESA, and it's a nice pipeline for the Research Fellowship Program. And then very finally, the Junior Professional Program. So this is essentially what might come at the end of your EGT experience at ESA. We're looking for people with 2 to 3 years of experience at the end of their master's degree to come and join a 4-year development program, which results in a permanent staff position at ESA. And now this has been approved. We had a trial which started in 2021, and we're going to be doing this on an annual basis now. Every April, there'll be 15 positions open across all different subject areas, and we see the EGT as a nice foundational experience to apply for that program. Again, not necessary, but you see the track that you could potentially go from intern to graduate trainee to junior professional, permanent staff member. That's one of the tracks that we potentially have. Now, why we're all here today is the ESA Graduate Trainee Programme. So just as a very, very quick recap before we go into your questions and we answer them. It's a 1-year program, but I have to say the vast majority of our EGTs do extend for the maximum of a 2nd year. So you could be at ESA for 2 years. The conditions that we have is you're from one of our participating states. So all of the flags you see at the bottom, in addition to Bulgaria, Malta, Croatia, and Cyprus. And the second criterion is that you must be a student in the final year of your master's or have recently graduated. So this is quite a common question that we get asked in these things. We're not looking really, it's not about age, and this is partly why we've changed from young graduate trainee to ESA graduate trainee. It's about experience. And so this is really an entry-level program. It's not one of those positions where it's entry-level, must have 10 years of experience. It's complete opposite of that. If you have too much experience, we have other great programs for you, such as the Junior Professional Program or a regular staff position. but this is for those of you who have, less than a year of less than a year of real post-master's degree experience relevant in your area. So even if you've been, let's say, after your master's, you've gone traveling for a year, don't worry, you're not ineligible if you apply after that, because you haven't been working in that period. We want to offer you a first real working experience, and that's why we have this kind of limit in terms of the experience. So it's open now in February, from February the 1st until the end of the month, the very last day. You have to apply on jobs.esa.int to be considered. And I have a few tips on what to do and what not to do. My very first tip, most important, I think, is take your time. You have the whole month. And whilst I wouldn't advise you to wait until the very last moment for your application, because you never know what could go wrong with the IT systems, or you might make a mistake at the last minute. Spend the first few weeks just looking at all the vacancies. We have 112 online at the moment, and the likelihood is you're going to be eligible to apply for more than 3 of them. But you have to choose a maximum of 3 positions to apply to. So spend the next few weeks trying to filter down exactly what you're interested in and what you think that your skill set best matches. All of your questions about is my background right for this one from an educational perspective, every vacancy will list the educational requirements. Many of them will be a generic scientific or technical discipline, so you can consider that one. And I encourage you, therefore, to not just look at the job title, but look into every single vacancy. Just control-click, open all of the different tabs for all 112 positions. You'll never know that your expectation from looking at the title might be different than your experience of reading the vacancy and thinking, wow, that's actually a position that I could go for. So spend a couple of weeks just to really narrow down, make your application as strong as you can, and try and personalize it for the position and for ESA. It's very easy to just I know that everyone's looking for jobs elsewhere at the end of your studies, or if you've recently graduated, but we are different here at ESA compared to other places. So really try and tailor your application, whether it's your cover letter or your CV. That would be my other tip, is to try and really match it to the job that you're applying to. And then a bit linked to that, a tip on what not to do. I'm not sure if you're able to see from the slide, but I can explain what you're looking at here. So what not to do. We had an example from a recent entry-level applicant, which was about, the question was saying, do you wish to highlight any aspect of your CV? And then also, what are the goals and expectations for your internship? And their answer was, certainly, if you're applying for a job at ESA and they're asking about your goals and expectations, you can respond with something like this. And then they put their prompt from ChatGPT in there. So I'm just going to say that if you are going to use generative AI, at least remember to remove the prompt that gives it away, the paragraph at the beginning. But I'd strongly encourage you not to. Just first, generally, we can tell when we're looking at this. And then secondly, we want you to be able to do the research yourself so that you can feel passionate about this role. This is not a generic kind of position. I can tell you in my past, I used to work in finance, in investment banking, and sometimes I have to say there was a bit of Control F, find, replace. I have always dreamed of working at insert generic bank name. I know that it can help when you're applying to lots of different places, but as I mentioned, ESA is different. And so just spending really half an hour, 1 hour to try and personalize it, it makes a huge difference. And that would be my top advice. But if you are really going to use AGI to try and help you with some of this, then at least remember to take out that first sentence. So my slide now is just going to be to say, yes, jobs.esa.int is where you'll find all of the positions, and it's where you can apply. But I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to very quickly introduce Philip, who I think has managed to get his technical problem solved. So Philip, please, just very quick hello from you, introduction about what you're doing.
Yes, good morning, everybody. I'm happy to finally join here. And yeah, my name is Philipp Levka. I'm from Germany, and I started my YGT, or now EGT, in 2023 October as a systems engineer in Mars robotics for the Mars sample return. And it's been a super fascinating experience, and happy to share today.
Cool. Thanks for that, Philip. So what I propose that we do very quickly before I ask both of you to give a bit of a background of more specifically what you're doing as graduate trainees at ESA. I see some of the questions that have been prepared there's been lots of upvotes and likes for some of them. So I just want to answer a few of them. So one that I will highlight in the Q&A tab at the moment is the top answered one, top requested one, sorry. And it's, what are the main skills or experiences that ESA looks for in candidates, especially for those interested in working in space research or technology development. So my first bit of advice here is that you will see from the 112 vacancies that we have for the EGT program, it's very diverse. So it's sometimes hard to say that we're looking for a particular technical skill, because it's going to vary based on the position that you're applying to. For sure, the vast majority of our positions are for those with an engineering background. But for example, we're increasingly seeing there's more demand for people with a computer science background or data science background, or even a generic artificial intelligence background. And there's a lot of cross applicability and transferability of those kind of skills amongst all of the roles that we have at ESA. So just on the technical side, it will be explained in each of the vacancies what is expected of you, including when it's working specifically in space research or technology development. But one of the things I do wish to highlight, which is important for us, is we have behavioral competencies that we look for as well. So when you're doing your final round interview for the EGT program, you will be assessed on behavioral competencies, which are listed also in every vacancy notice. So these are the kind of generic behavioral competencies about, are you going to be a nice fit to work at the agency? And so I encourage you, if you are selected for an interview, a final round interview, this will come up. And so try and prepare some scenarios where you might get some hypothetical questions. You might also get asked about your experiences that are linked to each of these competencies. That's a bit of a tip, is just to make sure that you do some preparation for each of the 6 behavioral competencies. And then the second question that I see in the chat is about how competitive is the application process. So it's great that you're already here, because I think those who've joined today, I think there's 733 of you watching at the moment. The fact that you're already motivated to listen to us speak for an hour, and actually I'm happy to stay a bit longer given the technical difficulties at the beginning. It shows that you're probably more serious about your application, and it will increase your chances, I think, of applying. I encourage you to mention in your application that you, whether it's your cover letter or your CV, try and mention that you came to listen to Nicole, Philip, and I talk about the program, because it shows motivation from our side. But it is true that we have thousands and thousands of applications, but we do have over 100 positions as well. And what I would say is, anticipating a question you may have, try not to apply to a position based on if you think there are more or fewer candidates applying to the position, because it really does change every year, and it's hard to say that there's a pattern for certain positions. Your best chance of increasing your competitiveness is to just apply to the positions that most interest you and that you think are a best fit for your profile. So with that, I think it's probably good now. I'll quickly hand over to Nicole, I think, for just a very quick overview of what you've done at ESA so far, Nicole.
Okay. Should I go with my slide as well? Let's go.
Yes, please.
So, yes, and thank you very much for the introduction, because it was super interesting for me as well. You really never stop to learn. Yeah, I'm pretty happy to introduce myself, starting from my background. and how I joined ESA. My background, I think, is a bit peculiar because I'm not an engineer, I'm not a space engineer, I am a physicist. So I have a bachelor in physics and astrophysics and a master in nuclear and subnuclear physics. Someone is called particle physics, sometimes it's called high energy physics. But in any case, I used to smash particles together to discover new things about our universe. During my master, I also had courses in deep learning and machine learning. So again, a link with what Andrew said. There is a lot of opportunities for computer science, artificial intelligence, and all these new techniques. And so during my career, I really wanted to discover also this side of science. I had first more like a shorter experience in physics for machine learning in the field of wind energy in Denmark after my graduation. And during this experience, is also when my application process happened. So I really remember being in the position of looking at these 100, around 100 position, and every time it was a lot of enthusiasm for me to just click on the name of the position and see if my background could have fit with the requirement. So I found the position in physics for machine learning. It was kind of a perfect fit. I was so happy, I remember. And I applied. I applied actually to 2 positions which were involving machine learning. But in particular, I remember this position was, okay, this is just perfect. I was so happy. Well, that's how my career started, with this position in physics for machine learning in ESTEC. So I joined ESTEC in the Advanced Concept Team of ESA, which is part of the Tech Directorate. And there I was working on research and disruptive concept to develop in the next 40 or 50 years. So I think it's a very peculiar environment within ESA to get started. And there I had the opportunity to work on really many different projects. I remember that all my colleagues were working in on very diverse subjects, ranging from material science to computer science to biology. And I could give my contribution in many of these projects. So, for example, I worked in inverse design for material science, in physics for machine learning, and I also started to build knowledge in quantum computing. And this helped a lot for my second year. So in my second year, I had the opportunity to change section, so getting experience in another section, in another directorate, and also in another site. So during my second year, I moved from Leiden or Norwich, the Netherlands, to Cologne and ESA. And as I mentioned at the beginning, now I work for the new section, which is developing software and artificial intelligence technique to support the space missions. And I think it's a really singular environment because on one side, I can work on a very technical topic. For example, quantum computing and artificial intelligence. Specifically, I work on reinforcement learning and quantum annealing. But on the other side, I get the chance to understand how mission works, how the operators interact with astronauts. And I think it's really interesting to try to connect this super technical subject and how operations are how operation happen, and try to integrate new techniques into the life of these special people.
Well, thanks for that, Nicole. That's like super interesting. What I really like about your experience as an EGT is that you got to experience ESTEC and then got to do another establishment in the second year. It's not the most common, for sure, but it is possible. So, and you're living proof of that. And I think you've got the experience of 2 really cool ones, and I just wanted to ask you, like, as an Italian moving to a different country 2 times, how did you find that experience?
Oh, well, yes, actually, I think for me it was kind of easy with respect to many people because during the last 5 years I moved 5 times. So I already lived in Switzerland and Denmark, in Italy, Switzerland, and Denmark before going to the Netherlands. I think, and then moving to Germany. And I think that every year is just so enriching. What I really like is try to dip into the culture of every new place and understanding how I can complement my persona. Yes, in addition, I think this is even more beautiful when you live within ESA because you are constantly surrounded from people, as you said at the beginning, from many different nationalities, and there are constant activities, constant reason to meet up with the others. Sometimes are working reasons, sometimes they can be more like scientific reason or space connected reason. Sometimes it's just sharing good time together, and I think it's really like an infinite learning. Then as a final point, as an Italian, I really miss the food and the coffee of my country, but I think that the rest really pay back.
You're probably missing at STech still. We did have dedicated pizza ovens and everything at ESA, at STech, so in the canteen.
Yeah,
so that's very nice.
True.
But I guess and yeah, I guess the cafeteria at DLR, at EAC, you're sharing with the other colleagues from DLR, the German Space Agency, and the other companies on the campus, right?
Yes.
It's quite a nice. Everyone has the pros and cons, I'd say. Philip, before we jump into a presentation from you, I just want to answer a few of the Q&A questions that were upvoted. I've been answering some in the chat. Nicole, Philip, I encourage you also feel free to jump in the chat if you see any questions that you would wish to answer. In terms of the question about, do you recommend submitting recommendation letters in addition to cover letter? So I did reply in the chat to somebody who asked this question. What I always say for this one is there's no harm if you're going to get a professor, for example, or a previous internship manager or something to write a recommendation letter. Feel free to do it because it might make your application stronger. I can't say for certain that it's something that every manager gives equal weighting to, but to me it's no harm done if you do submit it. And if you think it's something that would really highlight the great work you've done, maybe at university or in a previous internship or something like this, feel free to add it. And there's no recommended format for that, but it is something that you can attach in the additional documents of your application. And then I think for the next one, I'm going to put you on the spot a bit, Philip, here. It's about what can a candidate expect the day-to-day life of an EGT to be at ESA? What's your experience?
Yeah, the today at ESTEC, I must say, where I'm based, is you're surrounded by so many interesting people. So ESTEC is the largest site, also has a large number of young professionals. And as such, of course, we also have a lot of work to do. But my typical experience, I would say, is sometimes you meet with friends for breakfast before you jump into work. So there's a large part that is a social life, I would say. And also as an EGT, you have a lot of opportunity. So don't just think of it as your one work or project that you're involved in. I suggest when you're here, go around, talk to people that are maybe not part of your department, maybe not part of your directorate, and just find out what you can do, what you're interested in, because it's also a part of orientation for your career, and help them join any activities, and that will round up your experience here. And then, of course, at ESTEC, there's also a lot of social clubs, as it's called. and there you can follow your hobbies and make even more friends. Like, you're always busy. There's little time left here.
Exactly. No, and before I'm going to hand over to you in a second to talk about Young ESA, which I think a lot of people here would be interested in, and your involvement there as the coordinator. But before I do that, there is one question that I wanted to ask, wanted to answer that was in the Q&A, and it's very relevant for those of you who don't have any space on your CV at the moment. It's about, they said, I have no space-related experiences. What can I do to make me stand out in the recruitment process? So my advice here would be find a way to get space on your CV. Now, that doesn't mean that it has to be work experience, because frankly, it's an entry-level program, and we know that that might not be the case. But you have clubs and societies at your university. Maybe there's a CubeSat society at your university, or an astronomy. It could be an amateur astronomy thing that you just like doing. I can give you an example from myself. I mentioned in kind of the interest part of my CV that one of my favorite books is Pale Blue Dot by Carl Sagan. And I remember when I went through the interview process, this tiny innocuous throwaway comment ended up being about 10, 15 minutes discussion came from that. And about
For me, it seems Andrew's.
yeah, can everyone hear
sound is
me?
good. Yes,
Okay,
now you're back.
Yes.
Cool. And one of the things I also wanted to say for those of you who don't have space experience yet, ESA does have an opportunity for you to get that on your CV before you apply. And it's through the ESA Academy. So I think my colleague Mimi will be able to put in the chat the link to the ESA Academy, but these are fully sponsored training courses ranging from sometimes a weekend, sometimes a week, a summer. There's various different programs open throughout the year. And as long as you're from one of the eligible countries for the EGT program, you are eligible for applying to the ESA Academy as well. And they might, I think often you will be in Belgium in our education center. And in fact, we actually have some EGT positions open to try and coordinate those activities. So if you are interested in the didactic and educational side of space, those are the positions for you. But you will get the chance to, it could be on space law, it could be on CubeSats, it could be on space policy. There's so many different kinds of, let's say, technical and business and legal side of things that training opportunities at the Academy. Make sure to check that out, because I think that that's a nice way to boost your CV as well. But with that, I'm going to hand over now to Philip, and you can take control of the slides and talk a bit more about what you're doing and a bit about Young ESA.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. There's also the question from Aaron. I see, like, what's made us stand out as applicants. So let me give you an example of somebody who has been laser focused on the topic of robotic exploration in space, and how I found into ESA. So as you can see here, I'm from Germany. I studied in Dresden in the East at the Technical University. But maybe in a bit of an unusual way, I did my master thesis in Stuttgart, because they were working on the sample fetch rover, which was at the time part of the Mars sample return as a contribution from ESA. So that was my way of like building up my experience, because I knew from maybe 4 years before I joined that I wanted to be in ESA. And so I've been building up my experience, my repertoire, and I think that's really what made me help stand out, because I knew what I wanted. I knew why I wanted it. And as such, I could build a strong application. And being here now, I see that the skills I have and that's inspiration really helps me accelerate development in a way that's maybe otherwise not possible. And also to walk you a bit through my path here, I said I'm German, but actually I identify more as a European, which is also a nice bonus. Working here at the European Space Agency, I really love the multicultural environment and just cooperating together. That's what we should do. And on the other side, I was heavily inspired by sci-fi, I am sure, as most of you. And a real turning point was when Curiosity landed on Mars, so NASA mission, and showed me what's possible with robotics and that we should really double down. And for me, that's an avenue that Europe can follow to really stand out in the global stage. And that's why I wanted to see how I can do that with ESA. And then I was specializing in robotics and space and control theory in a degree called mechatronics. So that set me up for systems engineering, what I'm doing now. And at the same time, as Andrew was mentioning, please go to those clubs of your universities. Just watch out if there's anything you can do. I was in a rover building community and taking part in a European Rover Challenge. And that was amazing. Like what we've learned there in a couple of weeks of building. And not only that, sponsorship, like all the steps that you would also later find in a professional experience. Do that, learn what you can, and network. There's also conferences, SJC in Europe, and many, many more, ESA Academy. Just inform yourself. And then at the end, you can see here, I was taking a picture with the ExoMouse rover. We have a demonstration model here. It's not the real one. And the road ahead for me, I see, is that we have a presence on the moon and on Mars, heavily supported by robotics. So I've been applying for ESA for multiple years. I had 1 year of professional experience before I got the YGT position. So yeah, just endure, like stay connected, look for the applications, set up your reminders, and eventually you will get in. And as for what I'm doing now, so I'm a systems engineer for the sample transfer arm in human and robotic exploration. And here I look into model-based systems engineering, for example, to modernize how we approach engineering processes and how we make it more successful. And I'm also supporting on the management level for meetings, reviews, and actions, and also for public articles. You might have read some if you're interested in Mars from us. Am I back now? My connection was gone. Yeah. So, and it's pretty broad. And when I look at this, I would say my original position is maybe half of what I do. And then there's also other activities, as I recommended, concurrent design facilities that I can get involved in to do studies on other missions, on other projects in ESA, and get to know how the experts work on these, what the discussions are, interfaces. So I'm very engineering heavy, but yeah, just to say. And what I also want to mention, I happen to be the main coordinator of Young ESA. And Young ESA is the young professionals at ESA. And we have been having this community, this network. And the original idea was to have just some support for us arriving at ESA, because, you know, we are moving from all over Europe to the ESA sites. We need to make new friends. We need to find housing. We need to get a foothold in ESA. And Young ESA is the place to get support and find friends. And just to give you a little overview, because it's growing quite large now, we do have 9 working groups. And working groups are like focused teams working on specific projects. I will show you some in a moment. Then we are represented at all the ESA sites, which means that no matter where you go, you will find Young ESA and you can get some support. And we also have something called the Newcomer's Guide, where you see information about the specific location and just general information that helps you get started. And then the Young ESA projects, you might have heard of YPSAT, the Young Professional Satellite, which is an amazing project done by young professionals. And they have launched the first YPSAT in last year, July, on the Ariane 6, and it worked. It was fabulous. The hype around it is amazing. And now we have YPSAT 2. It's working on the CDR. And that's something you can look forward to when you come to ESA. And I also want to mention here that Young ESA is actually turning 20 years already. It started 2005 in Aztec, and this year we are celebrating big with our anniversary. And yeah, here are some working groups to give you an idea what we're working on. So we also care about equality, diversity, inclusion, for example. We have Fast Studying Fridays where we get some experts from ESA and learn from them and talk to them. Then newcomers and social events is what you will see at the beginning, the welcoming events, and where you find all your friends and entrepreneurs. Young professional event is a big one where we have one big conference per year where we invite every young professional to mingle and learn what's important to us, and many, many more. And I also want to give you just a bit of insight into PSAT 2, if you haven't known already. So our PSAT 1 was a technical demonstration, taking pictures of the fairing separation of the Ariane 6. And our PSAT 2 is science-oriented. So we have 2 scientific payloads that are much more complex, but also much more interesting. And the aim is to go on Space Rider, which is a long-term low Earth orbit exposing vehicle to see some effects of microgravity in these experiments. And yeah, the big slogan of PSAT is always, we're one team, we're one mission, and we want to combine all of ESA together to achieve this amazing development. And yeah, as I said, no matter which side you will go to at ESA, we've got you. And yeah, don't forget Young ESA. Just look for it and you will find us and hear some impressions of what we've done, going to French Guiana, or the communities at each site, the satellite pictures here with the ESA logo, and the Young Professional Conference you see in the bottom left. Yeah, I just love the community. I was happy to become the main coordinator. And if you have any questions at all, you can also text me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to help. Okay, and now I've talked for a while, and let's see if there's some questions. Okay. Yeah, thanks for all the messages. It's really nice. Okay. And I also see some questions here on the day-to-day life in ESA. And yeah, I would really say it's up to you as an EGT. There's lots of ways for you to experience your own work. When we applied, the job descriptions were quite broad. And for me, at the beginning, it was really about, like, my supervisor was asking me, what do you want to do? And then I could bring in my own interests. And it takes a lot of autonomy and also, as I said, knowing what you want. So I recommend, yeah, don't expect too much of a frame. Bring it yourself. On the questions I got in the interview, I can share some experience here. So my application process was multi-step. So I had a online recording interview where I was just answering questions in a given time frame. So it's like you have 1 or 2 minutes per question. And the questions were first on ESA in general. So be informed about ESA, the latest missions, and also, if possible, when you have knowledge about where your position comes from, about that specific directorate and the working groups and offices they have. For me, at the time, it was a bit difficult to find. But I was lucky that on LinkedIn, I could find some contacts and some previous YGTs. And then this way, I got a better feeling of who am I actually talking to, who am I applying to. And that helped a lot, just like build my arguments and also know who will be my team, because that's also an interesting question. And after that online interview, I had a face-to-face interview, which are now all online as far as I'm aware. And there I had my supervisor, my line manager, and somebody from HR. And then it was much more technical. Then it would go into questions of my experience, like what exactly can I provide to the project, and what do I want to do as well? Like, because they were trying to figure out like how can we integrate this person into our team. And yeah, then I think a month or two later, I got the confirmation. There's also, I see from Alvaro, the question, how many positions we can apply to. I think it is 3 positions you can apply to now for the EGT positions. So maximum 3. Don't do more. And also choose these positions wisely. Like as Andrew said, don't apply for any chance, but the ones that really resonate with you and where you can show your motivation, because it does make a difference. Yeah, and use the 3 applications. Don't, even if there's one that is perfect for you, I would recommend apply for 3 positions, because just having the experience at all at ESA is very valuable for your development. And yeah, you can shape it a bit in your way. Yeah, Nicole, do you see any questions you would like to answer?
Well, I saw many questions about space-related background. So again, as Andrew mentioned, for sure it's important to highlight in your CV any possible extracurricular activity you participated in, or what passion you about space. I think that's really important to highlight both in the CV and when you write your cover letter. You did it, and it really matters a lot. That said, I think I saw several questions about people with a biomedical background, and yes, there are opportunities. For example, in EAC, in Cologne, we have a medical team, which also hire, I think for sure now there is one YGT. I don't know exactly how many are the positions, but they are EGTs on a regular basis. Then I knew people working in communication, so there are EGT position in the field of communication. Now there is really a lot in the field of computer science across different directorates. So really like try to, as Andrew said, try to read the position and try to understand how you can add value to these people. And it's true that what really made the difference in my situation, I remember because I asked to my supervisor once I got in, was that he said during the interview, we really saw that you were reading our article, like you read our article, you went on our webpage, you made your research, and you arrived to the interview prepared. You knew who we were, you knew how to answer to our question, even though, for example, in my case, since I applied to a research role, I think the space for answering was much more open. It's very difficult to narrow down to a specific field when you do research. It's there is a lot to know, but ESA has so many different web pages. They really produce a lot of material so that you can first write your letter, your cover letter, and then your interview. I think these are general advices that I will give. And then if you didn't see anything that you really would like to answer to, I also would like to say a few more words about EAC, maybe.
Yeah, go for it. That's a good idea.
Because I think, yes, one of the reasons why I'm here is this transition that I did from ESTEC to EAC. So as Philip already spoke about ESTEC, and I have a wonderful memory about ESTEC and the Netherlands. So it was really like a continuous, like my calendar was constantly filled out. There were conferences going on and social events going on, and the opportunity to participate in WebSat. And I also was part of WebSat 1, so I can also share my experience about that. Then EAC is much smaller than ESTEC. I don't know the specific dimension, but I think we are around here the 100 people on the DLR side, and both on the DLR side and on the ESA side on a daily basis working on site. We have, as I already said, we have the astronauts, so it's very typical that we have the astronaut reserve, but also some other astronaut here. And we can speak with them. We can sometimes we train with them in the gym. It's a fantastic experience. It's really a unique experience. Being smaller, I think, is also it really favor focusing on your job. So it's impressive how much you learn, also due to the smaller dimension of the site. Because you are it's like everything you do is extremely useful. So I'm really enjoying being part of EAC, and something that I love is also the community, because the community again is smaller, but it's like being in a big family. There are constantly group of interns or professionals, or there is a professional which are active, so you can I don't know, go to Cologne and having cafes together, dinner together. There is a bouldering group. There is always something to do. You never feel alone, and it's very nice when we have lunch all together in the kitchen, because we have the DLR canteen in ESC, but it's really common that people prepare their own lunch and they eat all together in the kitchen, and then they share what they do on a daily basis. I think this is also very interesting.
There was also a question: do you want to become an astronaut in the future?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes I think about it, because seeing like the life of the astronaut and meeting them here, it's really inspiring. And I think it must change you as a person going to space. Personally, I don't see that like my career path, because of the like health, physical side of the job. So these people have to follow strict rules in terms of training, because they have to face microgravity, they have to face a lot of challenges. And although I love sport, I feel that it's more an entertainment for me, and I feel that I'm more useful here, thinking to my code, creating my algorithm. I feel more useful. Actually, ESA changed my career perspective a lot. So being in ESA, and I think what really changed my career perspective was also collaborating into WebISAT-1. Because I started my career also coming from physics. I started my career as a researcher, and I think being a researcher is quite different than being an engineer, because you are driven by big questions, while when you are an engineer, you are driven by putting things on work and make them safe. So within WebISAT-1, I was part of the onboard data handling group, of the onboard data handling subsystem, and there I really discovered a new dimension of coding, where you need reliability, you need you really need to think in a different way. And I think you also really have to team up with the other people. You have to be expert in your role, but you also have to be able to communicate with all the other subsystems in order to understand and cope with each other's needs. And so being part of this project, was just impressive, because even though, of course, the support came from ESA, where only young professionals with the support of some expert working hands-on on the satellite. And it was really impressive for me to see the dream come true. And all that way, like all this different way to interact in my daily job and to work, really changed my perspective from becoming a researcher in a university to having a more engineer or system engineer role. And I don't know, for example, right now I really would like to become the manager of a laboratory where I can having a part of my time working coding, actively coding, but also a part of my time supporting I don't know, younger enthusiasts, like younger people that are enthusiasts about space. And for me, really, it's really about hardware, software, and how to optimize this specific part of larger systems.
Yeah, I would also say that in the 1 year I've been here now, and surely moving forward, my perspective on what's possible in our careers has changed a lot, because you get a lot of inputs, and you can talk to a lot of people with a lot of expertise. And yeah, for example, I was trying to make a decision for my career, if I wanted to be a technical expert or if I want to become a systems engineer and stay a bit broader. And here I could decide I want to become the systems engineer. And because I also like this collaborative way of working with different people, different fields. And I'm just too curious. I cannot stay out of other topics. And I see this with like all the other young professionals, and it's amazing how they evolve. And I look forward to see where everybody will be in a couple of years. And yeah, and this network, it's amazing.
Yes, that's a big point, and should encourage you both for the application process and once you're in to try to collaborate with everyone. For example, here in EIC we have this large group of interns, and we have a small jackal robot. So we autonomously we can autonomously decide to have weekly meetings and understanding how the skill of each intern / EGT / young professional can be integrated together, how can we learn from each other, and how then can we build up to have also some result in the end, which sometimes can be a bigger result, like WebSat, sometimes can be a smaller result, like okay, we learned something and we added this little piece to a GitHub repository or to whatever project, or we made this documentation, and I think everything is useful. And overall, in this era where the technology changes so fast, it's very important that also like young people learn, but also give what they know and how they experience all this innovation.
All right, fantastic. I'm going to jump in here on behalf of Andrew, since he's dropped out, and unfortunately, due to the technical difficulties, he won't be able to come back on. So thank you, everybody, for attending. I do apologize for the technical difficulties. I hope that it was a good information session for you. It has been recorded, and it will be posted in the future on the Careers website. A big thank you to Nicole. Thank you, Philip, for your help and for talking about your EGT experience. It's all been super interesting. And if there's been any questions that have not been answered today, because there was a lot of questions, you guys asked a lot of questions, you can email esacareers@esa.int. I have a team of people who will be helping out with that. But check the website first, because we have answered a lot of the questions on our web pages, on our FAQs. So do check that out first. And if you really can't find an answer to your question, email us. But thank you again. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Philip. And thank you, Andrew. I know you're in the chat somewhere. And I hope you guys good luck on your applications. And don't forget, we also have another webinar on YouTube that will take place next week on Wednesday. You can check the Careers website for more information and for the link to that webinar. So anyways, thank you guys, and I hope you have a great day. Good luck again.
Yeah, thanks, Miriam. Thanks, everybody, for coming, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, and good luck.
Bye.